Welcome to the entire FNAF lore.
Why did you excuse the wolf?
Huh?
MatPat hasn't put out sufficient theory videos about security breach yet, which is why I assume it's not included.
No, because Security Breach and FNAF VR completely destroy the entire timeline and story of the past 7 games. So, I would very much like to not include them. I'm not even gonna fucking talk about the books. There's a part in the books where there's like a 20-foot tall kaiju that purple guy possesses. That's a giant rabbit made out of trash. I'm not talking about that shit.
Sounds disgusting.
So starts with 2 dudes, a guy named Henry Emily and William Afton. And they found a restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner. Of note, Willie Boy has 3 kids. Henry only has the 1. Never brought up where their wives are throughout the entire series. So, yeah.
What if they're lovers and the kids are from previous marriages?
Behold! A new theory!
Behold. I think a lot of people think that Willie Boy's wife gets put into the robot that I call Tits McGee.
Okay.
For some reason, just because she's
Ex-wife, then.
I will explain once we get to that part. So
I figured because I know his wife shows up somewhere in like sister location or something, or later than that. I'm not sure.
I think we might see his wife in a hidden mini game in the one of the last games, and it's debatable on whether or not it's her or his oldest son, because
Michael.
because the sprite is sitting down with a bucket of popcorn, watching TV in a house that looks exactly like sister location. And spoiler, that's what happens every night in sister location when you're playing as Michael. When you finish the night, you go upstairs, you sit down with a bucket of popcorn, and you watch TV.
Exotic Butters.
Exotic Butters.
Alright, so anyways, these two create a restaurant or a pizzeria, and they're the first people, I guess, to make animatronics, and their special thing is that the animatronics, you crank them up, and they can turn into a suit, and you can wear it, or you can take it off, turn the crank, and they turn into regular animatronics.
Yep.
So,
purple gay.
I don't know when it starts, but Willie Boy snaps, goes full schizo.
He goes a little skit.
Master Gaslighter.
And decides to start killing kids. To the point where he literally makes his own sister company, his own restaurant series, or at least one singular restaurant, and his own fucking brand of animatronics, specifically with the intention to go through and basically gaslight kids to kill them.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
What the fuck do you mean?
So, each of these things has, like, something in them designed to attract kids. Furman down here can mimic the voice of parents to lure kids out and kill them. And
Behold,
this one
a
right
pedophile.
here, he styles after his daughter, and her whole thing is she counts the number of kids within a room.
Oh, yeah. Once it gets down to 1, she just goes...
It's either cuts her head off or rips her entire spine and guts out. like her entire skeletal system out from the front, depending on
Ow.
what you look at.
And this is
So-
all from the mini game.
So Willie's youngest daughter, Elizabeth, she gets fucking nay-nayed. And somehow either gives this thing sentience or becomes the robot, because she's later in the series she refers to Purple Guy as her father.
Daddy.
But for some Matt.
She says that word.
Man,
she says
she
that
does.
word in fucking
Man's made the
Surrey
robot.
Simulator.
She does.
Man's made the robot, just create the robot is Fab.
But the way, like, I don't know, it's questionable whether or not she just makes it go, oh, hey, I am a living being now, or help, Dad, I'm in this fucking robot, I'm gonna go murder people now. Never really
Sensible
explained.
reaction.
I'm pretty sure it's the former, though. So, once Elizabeth fucking gets cringe-ass nene babied, William closes down that whole thing, cites it as a gas leak by, like, ripping a pipe off the wall when nobody's looking and evacuating everybody.
Gas leak, gatekeep, girl boss.
That's
Literally.
not what that means.
But literally, though. And then he puts all these things underground in a bunker that he built under his own house. And I think rents them out, like, one by one to different companies to try and make some money. But that's about it. And so, after his daughter dies, he then proceeds to gaslight the living fuck out of his youngest son, who's only ever given the name Crying Child by the community. This kid doesn't have a name.
Accurate.
7 years after the fucking game came out. Doesn't have a name. And so he uses these little sound discs, gaslights his son, and gives him nightmares that every night he's getting chased around by the Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy animatronics.
Actual psyop.
Actual psyop. And he further gaslights him by putting basically a walkie-talkie inside the kid's stuffed toy of Fredbear. And talks to him and pretends to be his friend through it. And he also gets
incredibly sad.
And then he also gets his oldest son, Michael, who may or may not be a furry because he spends literally all his free time wearing a Foxy mask.
Projecting.
And he bullies the living fuck out of the Crying Child to begin with. So William just lets that continue on. And eventually he starts forcing the kid to go to the restaurant where he works at in an effort to see how well the gaslighting's worked. And it works incredibly well to the point where he spends all of his time trying to break out. And he goes so far as to have the Crying Child's birthday at Fredbear Family Diner because he owns the fucking place. And he wants to see how well the gaslighting works. Well, Michael, being a little fucking shithead, takes that a little too far, and him and all of his buddies, who are also wearing masks of the different anthropomorphic
They're all
furry
furries.
creatures, they fucking shoved the kid into the Fredbear animatronics mouth.
As you do.
The thing is, with the spring lock suits, as they called them, excess moisture and excess movement will cause the spring locks to fail and snap shut. Well, this kid is crying his fucking eyes out, shaking his entire body inside the mouth of the robot.
Convenient.
Fucking thing snaps on him.
The
And-
bite of 83.
Is this the bite of 87?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, And
Like,
once he after that, he gets put into a coma. Because, his fucking brain has been separated from the rest of his body. So he's probably not getting any oxygen or anything. So, I think it's over the course of 7 nights, but this could go on feasibly for a couple years. He has nightmares where every night he gets tormented by the gaslight animatronics.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through. Ah, fuck!
Okay.
what a legendary video.
Yep.
Child eliminated.
And yeah, so nightmares of those things. He gets this. I should have played this earlier.
Be captain.
Time for lunch. Munch,
Oh.
munch. Time
Oh my
for a
God.
munch. Crunch, crunch. Munch, munch. Crunch, crunch. Munchy, munchy. Crunchy, crunchy.
Oh my god.
And the kid fucking dies after probably a week. And so I don't know why this won't go full screen anymore. Ah, fuck.
Kid killing time.
F11.
There it is. Okay. So, William
Some kids in
snaps
here.
about this. The crying child goes on to possess the golden Fredbear suit that he got killed in. And that whole building gets shut down, but there's still the sister locations because it's a massive corporation. And so he goes to transfers over to that building as an advisor or something, and he wears this the spring Bonnie suit still. He murders 5 kids and stuffs each of them into the respective mascot. So nobody can find them. Which also means he stuffs another kid into the suit that his son got killed by. And
Wreck.
yeah. So each of these, I think they all have names. Each of the kids at this point have been named. I don't know a
The
single
slaughter
one.
has been committed.
Yeah, I don't know a single one of them except for the girl that goes into Golden Freddy, and her name is Cassidy. That's it. That's
Cass, like from Fallout New Vegas.
God damn it.
2 kids.
So, after a while, Henry, the other co-founder, finds the blueprints of the Funtime animatronics, puts 2 and 2 together with those things' disappearances, William's daughter's disappearance and his son's disappearance, or just tragic death, and then the disappearance of these 5 kids, and thinks, maybe my best buddy co-worker is a psycho mass murderer.
He's a psycho
Accurate
streamer.
thing to think.
I don't think he still cares about him as I don't know, thinks of him as family,
I should get him the help he needs.
or he's don't worry guys, I can change him. I
can fix him.
I can fix him. Or he just flat out doesn't have enough evidence to bring it to the police. It's all circumstantial at best. So he just demotes him to just a simple security guard, which makes
Neat.
William incredibly bitter, as you can imagine.
Molding.
So, because of this, Henry...
It's skilled issued.
Because of this, Henry then makes a robot specifically to watch over his daughter, Charlie, and, to keep William away.
Ape is safe.
The problem is, when it's not active, it's in a giant toy box. Well, some little shits decide, hey, let's just stuff some fucking chairs and shit on top of the box and bully the shit out of Charlie. And they do. And they lock her outside in the rain. To which William pulls up with his car, fucking
Apple up.
probably after work. He probably literally just got off his shift, was driving home, and sees the daughter of the dude who basically fired him just outside in the
moment.
rain. So, yeah, he pulls up, stabs the shit out of her, throws her next to the dumpster. And this
Accurate.
stupid fucking thing finally breaks out of the chairs that are on top of it, goes out to try and find the kid that was supposed to watch, finds the kid dead, and through a combination of the rain and probably just, I don't know, some weird programming quirk, the only thing it can think to do to help the kid at the point is to lay on it and cover it from the rain. So Henry's daughter ends up possessing the puppet. I don't know why it took this dude probably like an hour to realize his daughter was missing, but Henry finally runs outside, finds his dead daughter, and I guess either doesn't think that William could have done it, or he's just so mentally broken from his daughter dying that he just doesn't give a shit, that he just doesn't do anything. He doesn't, like, call the police to get the only dude who would have done it arrested. He just fucking doesn't do anything. Presumably, he leaves the company at this point, too. That, or he just sits up there and doesn't do shit. Ever. But yeah, his daughter is now within the puppet, and through some sort of magical spirit mumbo-jumbo, she puts the souls of the 5 dead kids and physically attaches them to the robots. So now you have haunted robots, which,
Start to smell.
start to smell and gets that location closed down, and eventually leads to the reopening and the events of FNAF 2. But we take a detour because at some point, Purple Guy asked Mike to go down.
Get real.
Mike to go down and look at the Funtime animatronics in the basement.
Mike
Mike
grew up. Do you think he did the
Basically-
Germa thing where he does like the funny sounds that everyone gets repulsed by? He just goes, "Whoop."
Yeah, probably.
Absolutely.
So at some point, he goes down. The robots then think, maybe we can use all these things that we use to gaslight kids and use it to gaslight this guy and gaslight people outside. So they basically skin him. They trick him into doing shit around for 7 nights to get them out of their shells, and then they combine themselves into the spaghetti monster fuck named Ennard, and go into Mike's innards by doing the same thing that happened to Elizabeth, and rip his fucking skeletal system out, and presumably all of his guts. So Mike,
Gatekeep.
eventually I think like a week, they just walk around puppeting his body, pretending to still go to work. Until eventually they turn purple and rot, because that's what bodies without blood do. And so they think that the best course of action at this point is to exit the mouth of the skin suit and go into the sewers. And
Mike
somehow...
threw up.
Yeah, Mike threw up. Somehow, Michael, whether it be just leftover robot parts within it, or the same mystical magic mumbo-jumbo that let the Crying Child possess Golden Freddy and the puppet Charlie possess the puppet, he possesses his own fucking rotten body and skin, and puppet...
You won't die, you won't die,
yeah.
you won't die.
So he just somehow just keeps walking around as that, and then finally FNAF 2 begins. So
Oh my god.
canonically, the dude that they get to work in FNAF 2 is named Jeremy. So for all intents and purposes, it's Jerma.
Yes.
So
Jeremy.
yes, Matt, I'm going to refer to him exclusively as Jerma at this point. So
He's only in this one game, though.
technically, there is another kid named Jerma, and that possesses one of the FNAF 1 animatronics.
Oh my god, yes.
And there's a third Jeremy in the VR game in Security Breach
He's lame.
that we're not gonna. I think literally the only thing that comes out of him is he chops his face off so that he doesn't get possessed by Robo Billy, which apparently makes sense. We're ignoring those fucking games. So after all this shit with Michael, around the same time, they finally find the fucking source of that awful smell that people were complaining about, and they look inside the animatronics. Apparently this took them like 20 years, because Michael goes from feasibly like a 15-year-old kid bullying his like 5 or 10-year-old younger brother to an adult man. So there's been like 20 years since these kids have died.
It smells for 20 years?
Yeah. And they just finally looked inside the robots. They closed the place down and then just shove all these rotten robots into the back rooms of the place. Eventually they decide, we're not making enough money anymore. Let's rebrand the place. Let's make it super duper futuristic and tech savvy, and make all the robots have their own built-in security system. And they're hooked
Criminal.
Jeremy, stop.
Thank you, Matt.
I know the references.
Eventually, after this, William, being the only night guard at the place at the moment, puts 2 and 2 together with 6 animatronics that want to kill him, and possibly the 4 new animatronics are then hijacked by the puppet into their security thing. Instead of looking for criminals, exclusively looking for the night guard that killed them. But the thing is, presumably they never saw the dude's face, because he was either using the fursuit to kill them, or he was using a night guard outfit to kill them. So they can only think to target any night guards. And so, as mentioned by Phone Guy in this game, they're incredibly hostile towards adults. Or towards the night guards. So, because William's the current night guard, he puts 2 and 2 together like, maybe I should not be around them at night alone and become the day shift guard. So, Fazbear Incorporated, whatever, needs a new night guard, and so that's where Jerma is hired. And eventually, throughout the progression of the game, William kills more kids or something, and so at the 6th night, the location goes into a lockdown, and
Quirky.
apparently Jerma fucking really wants that minimum wage bread, so
You
that
know
Gotta
it.
eat.
he breaks in during the lockdown, to which the phone guy calls him and is like, yo dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yo.
This is closed down. Why are you here? And says that, the previous day shift guard fucking ran, so we're gonna need you to cover his shift tomorrow. Meaning this poor guy at most only gets like 3 hours of sleep after this. And he eventually gets transferred to the day shift. Well, during this, the during the lifespan of the FNAF 2 location, Mangle here, who was apparently originally called Funtime Foxy, which is not to be confused with the other Funtime Foxy. This Funtime Foxy is different, but they're colored the same, and it's just fucking...
They fucked up my boy Mangle.
Yeah. So they take her, and apparently she's, like, really weak as shit, and a bunch of kids are able to just rip her apart every night.
Brand's icon.
God damn it.
I understand.
Eventually the guards just, like, get sick and tired of having to constantly reassemble the fucking animatronic. So they just leave her ripped apart and just advertise her as, like, a plug-and-play type thing for the kids to play with. And I'm 99% sure that the toy animatronics are somewhat sentient. So she could fucking feel it every time she got ripped apart. Yeah. To the point where all she could do is just scream white noise.
Owie.
Well, anyways,
That's what I do.
bring particular attention to her because she'd take bites. During the
Goodbye,
day shift,
Germa.
during the day shift, the animatronics get incredibly angry after like 5 more kids get fucking murdered, and the management advises that Germa stays nearby the animatronics to keep them safe and away from the kids so that they wouldn't attack them. Well, that was a recipe for disaster, and so Mangle, she bites off his fucking frontal lobe, and
Was that the bite of 87?
Was that the bite of 87?
that was the bite
Just
of
realized
87.
this is the AU where Germa has a failed streaming career and went into security instead.
Minimum wage security job.
Minimum wage.
What a little gamer.
Well, anyways, so after that, basically the entire company shits the bed, and they leave the location up for one more night, to which they can only find one dude who's willing to work there, and it's our resident skin bag Michael, who's the only one who applies, but he calls himself Fritz Smith in an attempt to, I guess, be anonymous. It's not like it's totally fucking obvious that you're a dead, shambling, rotten corpse, but whatever. And eventually it just closes, and he gets fired for some
Superior
reason.
skin bag.
He gets fired, and the reasons they cite are odor and tampering with the animatronics. What he does with the animatronics, I'll leave you to imagine. But
Gee, he really is a pedophile.
I thought he was a furry.
yeah,
Oh.
Michael's the furry, William's the pedo who murders the kids.
Oh no.
Anyways, we're finally into the events of FNAF 1. The first game. 8 paragraphs and 13 slides in.
Look at he run. He man, he be run.
Only
Oh,
Diane
boy,
Hawkinson
he
ran like
showed
that in the Bad Guys movie.
Anyways. So, they're the FNAF whatever the fuck, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, they're essentially on their last limb, so they make one more location. They take the old suits that had the 5 kids stuffed into them, bring them out, spruce them up, put them on stage. And this only lasts a grand total of maybe 7 nights. And Michael is the only person who applies, presumably. And either they don't give him an interview, or they're that desperate for work that he's able to change his name to Mike Schmidt, and they just hire him. And he works there for 7 nights. And the phone guy is back. And at some point he gets killed during the events of FNAF 1. Presumably by Golden Freddy, because it plays the same jump scare noise when he dies.
Deserved.
And he gets stuffed into a suit.
Suit stuffing.
Ooh, that's something that I'm interested in.
Goddamn. But anyways,
Def knows what's up.
I unfortunately know what's up.
Hey, yo.
Call me Purple Guy because I want to put a child in that robot.
Cut.
Cut.
I'm going to replace your skeleton with an animatronic.
Anyways.
Listen, the human body has 206 bones, but when we're done, there's going to be 412. I'm going to put another person inside of you.
Ayo. Anyways, the restaurant fails because of the previous fucking, kid gets
Everything.
Kid gets his fucking
Murder.
neck snapped in 83. A bunch of kids get murdered between the events of FNAF 4 and the events of FNAF 2. A walking skin bag dude is working there, and a dude gets his fucking skull ripped in half and his brain eaten by a giant pink fox lady.
Hot.
Used to be
I don't
Fox
think
Man.
anybody would feasibly want to eat there, let alone
The
work
bad
there.
publicity.
So
It's like the last place you look for like a pizza party.
it's like it's the equivalent of Denny's in this universe. Nobody
Okay.
goes to Denny's with the intention of going to Denny's. They just happen to fucking end up there.
It's
Anyway.
like Wyoming.
Anyways, I think the puppet gets brought into the first location too, somewhere. But that's meh. That's whatever. It doesn't show up during the first game because it wasn't made during the first game. But first location closes down. Mike gets fired yet again for odor and tampering with the animatronics, and then the events of the mini games of FNAF 3 take place, in which apparently William gets let out on parole after
Is
the
he
events
dead?
of FNAF 2, or he just was let go because they didn't have enough evidence to incarcerate him.
I thought he died.
Hold on.
We're getting to that.
We're getting to that. So every night he breaks into this old, decrepit building to rip apart the FNAF 1 animatronics. Except for Golden Freddy and the puppet, which at some point hightails it out of there. And she just does whoever the fuck knows until FNAF 6. So William keeps breaking in, disassembling them, and then eventually all of the ghosts that were possessing the animatronics then lure him into a hidden back room that's not in any maps or at any of the locations that the animatronics can't get to, and they corner him, and so his best
Surely this will be devastating to the trap.
and so his best idea in his fucking pea brain is to jump into this old, rotten, wet as shit, moldy animatronic and try to scare the kids that are ghosts and couldn't do anything to him anyways, but whatever. Because he's in an old, moist, musty suit, and he's constantly being rained on because of it's a decrepit building, and he's fucking giggling at the kids. The suit has a spring lock failure, snaps shut, and kills him.
Epic spring lock failure. Laugh at this user.
But he doesn't die, and so he becomes spring
What the
trapped.
fuck is happening? I gotta say, I've lost the plot.
Yeah.
I'm following.
I don't think there was a plot until this game. Well, anyway,
Until game theory.
eventually the events of FNAF 3 happen, and years go by after the restaurants were shut down, that they eventually turned into kind of like an urban legend. Either the people who own the restaurants, like 20 years ago, because this takes place canonically in like 2023. Canonically, FNAF 3 takes place next year.
Okay.
Ayo.
Yeah. So either whatever's left of the company or just some random chuckle fucks decide, hey, let's turn this nightmare thing that happened into profit and make it a haunted house.
I mean, with the
And-
current state of people,
And so they can only hire Michael again and plan to make him part of the haunted house. And so they just find whatever things they can from the shut down restaurants. And eventually they happen to crack open the FNAF 1 location. They find its back room and they find a quote-unquote working animatronic back there. So they bring it to the haunted house, and Michael then has to defend himself for 6 or 7 nights from his dad, who's trying to kill him. Michael, either Michael lights the building on fire, William lights the building on fire, the puppet lights the building on fire, or a random electrical surge happens and some wires catch the building on fire. So
it is fated.
so it
shall
catches
be.
on fire and Springtrap burns to death.
Michael,
Except not really, he breaks out.
he turns into Rap Trap.
He turns into Jimmy Neutron. So throughout the entire history of this game after his daughter died, Henry has been like, maybe I should fucking do something about this. And eventually we get to...
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa,
We
where are
get
the
to
fun
FNAF
times?
6.
It's McGee. Fire.
So eventually we get to FNAF 6.
Connection terminated.
Throughout all of this, at some point, Baby, the animatronic that Mike's sister haunted, and the rest of the Funtime animatronics had an argument in the sewer, and they kicked Baby out. And they slowly tried to repair themselves. And apparently, I think it's implied that at some point, the remnants of Ennard, who now call themselves Molten Freddy, passed through the FNAF 1 location, took some parts from the original 5 kids, and they're in there now.
I hate it.
Henry makes a robot to catch the robot that was made to protect his daughter, that his daughter is now within the robot, and then puts that robot inside the robot.
Lefty.
What?
Named it Lefty.
So the puppet's in there, and then inside the puppet is the daughter, and the daughter in the slaughter.
Yes. And at some point, apparently, William Afton, gets out of the burning wreckage. I think finds himself a new suit. Somehow. I think
Where?
that's what it is. And now he looks like Jimmy Neutron.
I think that's just a
Boy.
reimagining that went badly.
Yeah.
The first iteration is
Look
superior.
at his little
Yeah.
bone arm. Whoa.
He's got a
Little
he's got a little
bone
bone
arm.
shank.
So bad.
Well, anyways, so Henry makes this new flyer like, hey, we're the Freddy Fazbear's company trying to rebrand the company, and we're looking for a regional manager to work in this one specific restaurant. And lo and behold, Michael, yet again, is the one to get the job.
Michael. They keep
And-
hiring the same guy.
They keep hiring the same
He has
scumbag.
experience.
He's
He
got-
has experience.
He's got really good.
Suspiciously has lots of experience, yes.
Ignore the rotten smell that constantly follows him, and that he looks like a rotten skin bag. No, he's got some really bad.
He just has
Jaundice.
Asperger's, so he doesn't take showers.
Oh my god.
Anyways, the building burns down. All of them burn, and their souls go flying away into heaven, except for the other soul that was in Golden Freddy. She traps William in hell and tortures him, presumably for an eternity.
Based.
And To the point where I'm pretty sure the literal personification of the devil in this game literally tells her, hey, you need to fucking let this go and go. Let me do my shit.
No. This is her beef, man. Why you gotta be this way?
And,
She's just girl bossing better than he ever could.
Gatekeep.
And so, anyways, all the souls are gone. The 2 founders are dead. One of them is in hell where he deserves. And all of this erased from everybody's memory, and everyone can live happily ever after. And William stays dead for good. He goes to hell, and William stays dead for good.
The end.
I said he stays dead for good. We're not talking about these stupid fucking pieces of shit.
The reboots.
They don't exist.
Imagine making the sacrifices of the preceding installments meaningless.
Yeah, right? And so,
This is brought to you by Star Wars sequels.
And, well, that was the entire FNAF timeline. Or is it?
Check this out. Take a look at this. Jesus Christ.
Because...
Oh my fucking god.
So... after FNAF 4 released, that was going to be the end of the series. And so during a live stream, Game Theory and a couple other game, like FNAF theorists, were just hanging out, celebrating the last game. To which Scott Cawthon started updating his website with different things, which heavily implied the entire story, the entire events of the previous 4 games were inside the dying mind of the crying child. That's why the toy animatronics were called the toy animatronics, because they were the representations of actual toys that he presumably would have bought or owned or seen. And why every 6 a.m. a clock goes off and ends the night, which is the same clock that he would have heard when he was still alive in his own house. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, which are hidden characters in FNAF 2, are him actually remembering the shadows of the Spring Bonnie and Fredbear's suit. And his dad stuffing kids into dead bodies was him mistaking his dad in the dark putting a guy into a Spring Bonnie suit. And every single thing is just his imagination as he's dying.
El Bozo.
El Bozo.
This just turned my whole perception of the fucking story on its head.
And then FNAF 4 is his nightmares while he's dying. And so it's
Wait, why is he dying?
Because the minigames actually happened. Like, the minigames of FNAF 4 actually happened. His brother shoved him into Fredbear and chomped his fucking skull.
Oh.
This is all just his dying mind conjuring up this entire story. And that's why Fritz Smith, that's why Mike Schmidt, and the dude in FNAF 3 get fired for odor. Because the kid doesn't know why a person would realistically be fired. So he just comes up with something that seems to make sense to him. And why all the Foxy characters always had this weird quirk to them that separated them from every other animatronic. It's because that's what his brother wore to torment him. So he would, presumably that one would be the worst. In FNAF 1, you couldn't look at Foxy too much, but you couldn't look at him too little, otherwise he immediately ran down to try and kill you. In FNAF 2, the mask doesn't work against him, and he can only be disturbed by the flashlight. In FNAF 3, the Phantoms are every single animatronic he's seen throughout, because his dad owns the company.
Mm-hmm.
Mangle. In FNAF 4, you can go into the Crying Child's explorer's house and find a room that presumably his sister was in. And you can see a torn up Funtime Foxy toy in there, which gives the kid the inspiration for Mangle. And the whole weird thing in FNAF 2 where Torchica just takes off her beak for some reason and rips out her eyes is because in FNAF 4 there's a defect with the little Torchica that this girl has in which the beak falls off. 2 pixels is what led everybody to believe this theory.
Oh my god.
And that was originally the intent of the story, and presumably that's what the box was meant to represent, was just the kid's dying mind. But Scott Cawthon saw all the negative thoughts about this whole theory, because presumably no one wants to see this convoluted fucking story that's lasted for this long be summed up as, oh, the kid was just dreaming the entire time. So he kind of doubles back on it, and from FNAF sister location onwards, kind of just ignores it and pretends that theory didn't happen. So that's
gaming.
And so that is for real the end of the franchise. I don't want to talk about Security Breach because it really makes no sense. Apparently they ripped apart some old animatronics, scanned their motherboards, and put them into the VR game. And with that,
They also have Gregory.
And with that came Purple Guy, who is a robot furry now, and hijacks people. And takes
Are you
them.
a scav, Gregory?
And Gregory may or may not be the crying child rebuilt into a robot, and Glamrock Freddy may or may not be Michael Afton possessing it.
What?
It's stupid. The entire series is stupid at this point.
Kinda.
That's the story of FNAF. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna throw up.
Mike threw up.
My